Hi, welcome to Charlie Flannery Presents. Today, I'd like to present the lovely and talented Miss Erica Derrickson.
Hi.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Charlie.
Erica. Thank you for coming today.
It's a pleasure to be on your show, Charlie. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You look terrific. You know,
Thank
what a lot of the folks that are not catching this live don't realize is we're shooting this at 6 a.m. You came into the studio about 5:30 in pajamas, your hair in curlers. You went into the dressing room for 15 minutes and you came out looking like this. You know, me, I didn't dare come near my face to shave. You know, so I apologize. But you know, how you been?
I'm doing really well. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's not actually 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna spoil
Stop
your...
it. Stop it. Anyway, you know, you've got some great things going on now, and there are a lot of people that are fans of yours. They're aware of some of those, and we're going to talk about those in a minute. But tell me about Erica as a little girl.
Erica is a little girl. I've always had a lot of energy, and I've always, been very excited about life. But I think before I got into film, my life was really just about searching for myself and going on adventures. I grew up all over the world. I was very blessed to have parents who worked for the U.S. government, for the Foreign Service.
Nice.
So,
CIA?
No, State Department.
You couldn't tell us anyway. You'd
If
have to
I tell
kill
you,
me.
I'd have to kill you.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, of course.
So I had the great fortune of living in places like India when I was 5 years old. I lived in Paris, France, when I
Wow.
was around 12.
Wow.
I've lived in Singapore when I was 21. When I was stateside, I lived in Maryland, Connecticut, Chicago, Washington, D.C., New York City, Los Angeles, and then now Boston.
Wow. I know there was something worldly about you, you know, beyond your years, you know. So when did you make the move to Boston?
I made the move to Boston in the end of 2009, so like the very first few days of 2010. It was the first horrible snowstorm of the season, so it was a not exactly the best welcome to my new home, but it was a good change for me. I had been out in LA for a short period of time, and things weren't going, you have these ideas you're going to go out to LA and things are just going to magically fall together, but I was very new. I had just, how do I say, I had just accepted that I wanted to act, that I wanted to do it.
When did that little girl that traveled around the world, you know, at what point did that little girl get bitten by the acting bug?
I've always wanted to act. I distinctly remember watching movies and TV and even more so towards my 20s, and just feeling angry that it wasn't me because I knew that I could do it and I knew that I should be up there, and it felt not fair. So I had always wanted to act ever since I can remember, but I didn't believe in myself, and I had more excuses than anything else. So, well, I can't act because I wasn't in the high school theater. You know, I can't act because I don't have this, and I didn't do this before, and I didn't do this, and, well, you have to do this in order to act. And so I had a lot of excuses, but then finally, it was 2009 when I was living in New York City. I was attending Parsons School of Design. And Parsons School of Design is right near Union Square, which is right where the New York Film Academy is.
Nice.
So I was moved to go in there one day, and I remember being so scared. It was probably one of the scariest moments of my life because I just felt like such a fraud. You know, who was I to think that I could act? I felt like everyone was going to turn and start hissing at me because I was obviously out of place. I thought it was obvious, but it wasn't to anyone else. And then I got one little extra role, and then, one thing led to another. Then, I decided to not continue in school, and that's when I moved out to LA. And LA was really great for me, even though I was only there for a short period of time, because it helped me. I took an acting class, an on-camera acting class, and I ended up making friends with the people who owned the space, who owned the studio. And so they let me sit in on a couple classes for free in exchange for running the video camera. So I got to read for all these casting directors in LA. And it was my first time actually performing in front of people. So I just, I went from like nothing to just being in these classes and reading these scripts in front of casting directors. And I found that A, I loved it. I loved it. And B, I was actually getting great feedback, and people were telling me that I was good at it too. So even though I was in LA for only 3 months, it was a great time for me to just build my confidence and to be able to say, yes, I'm an actor, without wanting to shove a spoon in my eye because it felt so wrong.
Well, I do some acting myself, and I go out on every audition that comes my way because as an actor, you want to act. And unfortunately for the majority of us, we're not acting 4, 5, 6 days a week.
Absolutely
so
not.
that audition becomes your chance that day to get up and do something for a few minutes, and it's another at bat. It hones, helps you hone your craft. Now, when you get to Boston, we have a little clip of some of the acting stuff that you've done. Was that all shot in Boston?
Sure. So what we're going to show is my acting demo reel. The vast majority of these clips are work that I've done here in Boston. The one project that you'll see, there's a sort of a car accident scene. That was the project that I did in LA right before I left LA.
Okay.
Within days, I was back East Coast after filming that. That project was screened at Cannes Film Festival 2012,
Wow.
which was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so LA was short-lived, but I was able to do at least one really great project
Okay.
that even to this day is really helping my career move forward.
Cool. So we have like what, a 2-minute clip
It's
of that?
It's a 2-minute demo reel.
Okay, we'd like to, don't go away. We're going to show you this clip, and we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere.
Hi.
Missed the last train home. Birds pass by to tell me that I'm not alone. Well, I'm pushing myself to finish this part and handle a lot. One thing I miss is in your eyes, your eyes, your eyes.
Yes, Moses, but do you really want to spend your time scolding Monica?
I just wanted to bring it out.
Listen, Moses, the only reason Monica's pushing you around is because you let her.
I was trying to be nice.
Nice does not cut it in this business.
Oh my god, what just happened? What did you do? What did you do? You hit them! No, guys, we have to go back! Stop!
Today when I was finishing the laundry, I turned around and went upstairs and I looked up and there was a kid in a striped shirt at the top of the stairs looking at me. I know what I saw.
Becca,
Did I ask for your opinion?
I thought that's why I was here.
Were you just about to compare me to Moses?
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff, Erica.
Thank you.
You know what the camera loves you. What I didn't see in there, I know that we had both worked at the same time on different student films last year over at BU. And so when the students were airing their projects, I saw you there that night, and that wasn't on the
No, that'll be
demo
on
reel.
the next one.
Okay.
I believe you're referring to Red, a fairy tale.
I can't recall. All I remember is I was sitting next to you, and you were on camera, and I apologize for interrupting you. I was overcome. I had to say, the camera loves you. and it does, you know. Good
It's-
stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good
Thank you very
stuff.
much.
So, you know, I know you've been, before that, I had met, you started a Facebook page.
Yes.
Of
well,
all things.
It's not actually a Facebook page, it's a Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
The difference is that with a group, people can come together and they can post and they can have it's sort of like a forum.
Uh-huh.
And so the group that I started is called Hollywood East Actors Group. We actually just turned 1 year old in September. And essentially, we have over 4,000 members now.
Wow.
And what it is, it's an online space where anyone involved or interested in the New England film community can get together and support one another, find
That's
and post
important.
opportunities.
Yep.
Generally, just come together and support one another, because this is a really challenging field to be in, especially if you feel alone and you don't know what to do and you don't know who to turn to get answers. So I created this group, Hollywood East Actors Group, to serve as a place for people to come and feel supported, and it's been great because it's sort of caused this shift in the way that the acting community here operates. I don't want to say global shift, but it has had a huge impact, because we have a far more, our focus is on collaboration over in competition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in competition with anybody. You know, there are,
You and I could go out for the same role
what
on
I-
any given day.
sure, we're
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
no, but what
yeah.
I mean is that I'm happy to support other 20s blonde actresses, because I believe that together we rise. And even if I help other young women who could be going up for the same roles, I don't have a problem with that, because I know that if it's meant to be, it'll be me. Like, if I know that if I'm meant to be have a certain role, then I'll get it. So
Right.
it doesn't stop me from helping other people.
And you know, and that's a small percentage of all the people that are in virtually any of the performing arts. I spent 20 years as a rock and roll musician, writer, producer, performer, and you know, I think maybe 1 out of every 10 people that I would meet was a real person who would not only try to give you a hand up if they had a chance, but would give you a hand when you made something. The other 80 to 90%, it was all cat biting, backbiting,
Sure.
you know what I mean? And I've learned that's helped me in my transition to working with other actors, because I only expect 10% of all people to be real. And some, you know, sometimes, some days that's being generous, but you come across as one of the real people out there. That's the only reason I had you on here.
Thank you. I believe that.
Pierce Morgan wanted to be on my show today.
And you're like, no.
You know,
Yes, no. We've got
my
Eric
people
and
talk to his people. Yeah, you know, please. Can you
I
imagine what he
believe-
must look like at 6 a.m.? I mean, please, you know what I mean? I'm looking at me is tough enough, but me and Pierce Morgan at 6 a.m. I'm sorry, you know what I mean?
I believe that my ultimate success will be a function of the value that I create for others. Mm-hmm. So that's why I just look for ways to help as many people as I can, because I believe that together we rise. So I'm working on my own career and getting my own stuff out there, but really more than anything else, what I love to do is help other actors.
Well, you know, it's also the stuff that you're doing is in confluence with a bunch of much larger forces that are at work. Like there's the decentralization of Hollywood. You mentioned
absolutely.
being out in LA. You know, now with all the tax incentives
Less than
offered,
10% of projects are actually shot in LA now.
Yeah.
They have a come home tax incentive
Yes.
for filmmakers to film in LA. So
Yeah.
we have it. I think that we're in an amazing opportunity here in Massachusetts, because exactly what you're saying with the decentralization of you know, the old Hollywood. Now coupled with the tax incentives, the very generous tax incentives we have
the
here.
big studio being
Plus
built up
with
in Denver.
New England Studios is open for business.
What we need, you know, and that's gonna bring in a lot of movies, okay?
And TV shows.
We need 2 good episodics.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
are shot in Boston.
Yep.
Because there's such an amazing talent pool, and we know that these national people know that Boston people
Boston
are not
is hot.
slackers. I mean, you look
Boston
at
is
look
so
at the
hot right
guys.
now.
You know what I mean? Affleck, Damon. You know what I mean?
Those guys, yeah.
Jack Nicholas. I mean, he was in the Departed. Of course, he's from Boston. You know what I mean? No, but I mean, you know, even last night in the World Series, you know, there's James. What's his name? James Taylor.
James Taylor.
Singing "God Bless America." A Boston guy. You know, Boston has street cred. Half the people on some of these TV programs, very successful shows, have Boston roots. So there's no stigma to saying you're from Boston anymore.
And the thing I think also is cool about people from Boston is they have a lot of loyalty to Boston. For example, Chris Byers, the head of the New England studios, he could have built this project anywhere, but he chose Massachusetts because this is where his blood is. This is where his loyalty is.
I have his cell phone number, and for $50, I'll give it to you. You know?
Thank you.
Yeah, but in tandem with that, my understanding is now you're doing something in Charlestown,
I am.
and that's going to be like more of like a talent development
Yep.
type of location. And what's it called? And tell us about that.
So this is really exciting.
Okay.
I've just taken over a space in Charlestown in this really cool old building. It's an old foundry building from the 1850s. Already in that space is a group of young, ambitious, creative entrepreneurs who have who call the space Foundry 24. There's a software company that runs out of there, a full audio-visual recording studio. We have a couple different companies. I could go on and on.
How many
But,
square feet do you have?
oh gosh, I'm not sure. I'm so bad with square footage. But so I've taken over this big room. It's a big room.
It's a big room, ladies and gentlemen, and that translates into a lot of square footage.
Well,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
exactly.
Go on.
So it's a big room that it's going to become a sort of
Big,
hub
big.
for the Boston acting and filmmaking world. We're going to be having monthly networking events. We're going to be holding a conservatory-style acting training out of this space, where we're going to have actors coming together every week to practice their craft and develop their craft. So together, collectively, it's sort of like the Actors Studio, but now for Boston. And we're going to be calling it the Boston Acting Studio. So the first class that we have under our umbrella is the New England Actors Workshop with Rich Bailey, who's an incredibly talented and well-trained actor who teaches the Meisner training technique about living truthfully in the moment. And so we've already filled up our first class, and we're about to put our second class on the books. And we haven't even moved into the space yet. It's November 1st, which is just about a week away. Yeah, next Friday.
I just booked my mother a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
I know.
So so next Friday we're moving in.
Cool.
We're going to be holding classes, workshop. It's going to be my photography studio. The reason we're taking this space is because back this summer, what I do for a living to pay my bills as I pursue my acting is I'm a photographer and graphic designer. So this summer when business is great, I stopped and realized like, oh no, business is great now, but what am I going to do this winter when it's cold outside? And because I do natural light headshots, so what am I going to do when I can't take people outside for headshots? I won't be able to pay rent. So I started thinking, and I needed to find a solution. And then the pieces sort of just came together, and I had the idea of sharing the space with another photographer. Originally, I thought it was just going to be a photographer's studio, but I was already in conversation with Rich Bailey, the teacher, about this event that we're planning.
I thought
on
he
November
was
12th.
going to try to horn his way in today. I really did. He kept posting.
Oh, we'd be lucky. He's an amazing guy, an amazing
he
teacher.
does. He
I'm
seems so.
very
Yeah.
fortunate to have him as my partner on this.
I'm being facetious.
Yeah. So I realized things sort of clicked into place, and I was like, hey, Rich, how about you be the third partner on this room? And he came to me looking to start a conservatory style training like he had back in Playhouse West in LA. So he came to me looking for seeing if that would be possible. So I came back to him being like, all right, how about we commit and take over this room and make that happen? I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it because it's so exciting. So essentially, we're going to be doing headshots there. We're going to be training actors every week. We're going to be collectively lifting the level of quality of actors in Boston.
It's in Charlestown,
It's
right?
in Charlestown, right by Sullivan Square. It's an easy, 2-minute walk from the Sullivan Square T station on the Orange Line. It's right off of 93, right next to the North End in Boston.
I saw a picture of the old Schrafft's building.
Yep, right
from
across
one of
from the old
windows.
Strauss building.
Yeah.
So
now, if it's in Charlestown, are any of the financial backers, bank robbers?
No, we don't have financial
why
backers.
wasn't I
we
asked?
are self-generated.
Oh,
I am self-generated. Nobody is paying my bills for me. I am not living on handouts. I am like creating my own
your
way.
pride.
And that's it.
I
And I'm
have
very
no
proud
pride.
of it. I'm
if
very
if
proud
you start
of it.
making a living at this, we could talk about this. So I
Really?
really like this, and I really like the fact that's going on. And you got the Hollywood East
Mm-hmm.
Actors Group. So you're a one-woman dynamo,
I'm making things happen, and I'm definitely not one woman. I have an amazing boyfriend who is the rock upon which I stand. And
The minute my back was turned.
Yeah, right. No, he's a marketing genius.
Okay.
His specialty is like starting companies and launching brands. So he's been a really big support to me. And his company, Press Kit, we're going to be teaming up to do some really amazing things with his Press Kit software and my talent pool of actors.
And what's his name?
His name is Ben Maitland-Lewis.
Ben.
And he's a rock star.
Maitland-Lewis. Okay.
Yeah, he was a former executive at Sony BMG. He ran an award-winning artist management and development company. And now we're actually co-producing a reality show, a new Boston reality show. Well, it's not a new show. We're doing the 5th season of the show called Quiet Desperation, about this artist, Rob Patillo, who is essentially, are you familiar with Rob Patillo?
Yes.
He's recreating his brand,
Wow.
and we are producing, actually I just watched the trailer was launched on my way over here today. We're launching the 5th season, so while the past 4 seasons were sort of like a theater of the absurd, kind of like mockumentary, this season 5, it's total reality. It's a documentary, and it's really about what it means to take the reins of a creative identity and just pursue that love, that fire, that passion, that need to create inside of you, and just kind of throwing caution to the wind, because people who become actors, who are artists, they are I don't want to say crazy, but they don't accept life the way that everyone else does, and those who do are the ones who are living in quiet desperation, essentially.
Yeah, so now getting back to the Hollywood East Actors Group, my understanding is that in tandem with the Foundry 24, they're going to be hosting the 1-year anniversary party. And that's going to be at the Foundry 24.
No, it's going to be at the Middle East downstairs in Cambridge.
Oh, okay.
The epic, iconic, legendary Middle East Rock Club, which I'm really excited about.
Nice.
It's going to be on November 12th, and actually, I have for you your invitation to the party.
Oh, thank you
and
so
that,
much.
that card will actually get you 1 free raffle ticket, and included in the raffle, you can win a tour of the New England studios. Chris Byers has very, very generously agreed to donate a tour to our raffle.
Nice.
You can win acting classes. You can win a voiceover workshop with Ren Ross, who is one of the foremost sought-after voiceover coaches in the industry. There will be we're going to be unrolling the full layout of prizes, but we're keeping them about 10 prizes that they're all juicy, really good industry prizes. That ticket will get you 1 free raffle ticket.
And the date on this is what?
November 12th, Tuesday, November 12th.
Okay.
Doors open at 7 p.m. and bar closes at midnight. And all are welcome, spouses, friends, people who are not members of the group yet. Everyone's welcome to come and celebrate with us, because this is really about just supporting the film industry here and creating community, because that's really what I do, Charlie.
Sure.
I love community, and I love bringing people together to support one another, because none of us can do this alone, and anyone who thinks they can do it alone is sadly misguided. We need each other. We need a team. We need people to support us. We need people to lift us up.
It takes a village.
It takes a village. It takes a village to make a movie. It takes a village to build a community.
Yeah.
And that's really what I love to do, and that's I feel, you asked me about my childhood.
And you play well with others.
I do now.
Yeah.
You asked me about my childhood and growing up, and I would say I tried so many different things, and I went so many different places, and I've done everything. I was in real estate for a little while. I worked at an embassy. I've done so many different things, and once upon a time I wanted to have a dog daycare. I mean, serial entrepreneur, really.
Could you
But-
see? I could see you playing. You know, now that I know your background and the embassy and traveling, I could see you playing a CIA agent, like covert affairs. If something ever happens to that woman,
I was actually just offered the role as an undercover cop in a project, but I turned it down because there was a little bit too much just blatant sex and I didn't really. I search for roles now with meaning.
who was the writer?
I can't tell you off the top of my head, and I probably wouldn't if I were
Was
telling you
it
that
John
it was
Fiore? He's
No,
like
no,
that.
no.
You know.
John Fiore's great. John Fiore's great.
Just kidding.
I really like John.
He
He's
is
awesome.
just kidding. We're great friends. He's been on my show, you know.
Yeah.
I've had some very good people. I mean, you're up there with a nice caliber of guests. I got to
Thank
tell
you.
you, you know,
Thank you.
not just any wonk gets on this show.
Not just any clown off
You
the
know?
street. But what I was saying, I didn't.
So,
I
like,
didn't
why don't you wrap it up for me?
Oh,
Because
wrap me up.
it's unbelievable. I can't believe.
I can't believe it went by
yeah,
so fast.
I'm telling you, it does.
My, how time
You know,
flies
yeah,
when you're having
yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
So I guess if I were to wrap it up, I'm here to make a difference. I'm here to create value for others. I'm here to help build up the Boston film industry because, listen, I don't want to move to LA and I don't really want to move back to New York. I want to be here. I want to do what I love to do where I want to do it. And I think that we're perfectly positioned now to really have Boston stand out and shine in the growing in the international film world and especially the U.S. film market. I think that Boston really has all that it takes to become one of the major players on the film scene.
Well, when it comes to shining, your star will shine very brightly, my dear. Thank you for being
Thank you,
on.
Charlie.
And I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to Charlie Flannery Presents. I'd like to thank Miss Erica Derrickson for being my guest today. If you'd like to be a guest on Charlie Flannery Presents, please send an email to charlieflannery@verizon.net. In the subject line, please put "Be a Guest." Give me a slight breakdown of what you'd like to do or maybe talk about, and we may have you here as a guest one day on Charlie Flannery Presents. Until then, be safe.